safe in your body as you're navigating your chronic illness? Do you believe that your immune system feels that it's a safe and healing environment for it to come back into balance? My name is Anindita and I am a functional medicine certified health coach and a practitioner. And today I'm talking about why feeling safe in your body is so important for autoimmune recovery, actually for many chronic illnesses, but in specific I'm focusing on autoimmune conditions because this is where immune dysregulation is at the heart of it all. So today I'm talking about the two nervous system modes that our body has. One is the parasympathetic mode, one is the sympathetic mode. The sympathetic mode is known as the fight or flight response, while the parasympathetic mode is known as the rest and digest. And they have completely different roles in our health and in our body. And what happens is that most people focus when they're dealing with any kind of chronic illnesses, they are very focused on diet, they're focused on supplements, they're focused on maybe lifestyle changes and all of it, but they forget the role that stress has to play in their illness. And even in the case, for example, for autoimmune conditions, right? So your hormones like cortisol, epinephrine, norepinephrine, all of these have an impact on all the rest of the hormones in your body. And of course, it's also act as a trigger. So this means that you might be taking immunosuppressive medications for more than 2 years, and you may have even tried a gluten and dairy-free diet, for the past 6 months, right? You've been doing all of this. But here's what happens if you do not also understand the role that stress plays in your disease progression, right? You feel better for a few days because you've made certain changes in your diet. But then what happens is that then you start suffering from severe exhaustion in the next few days, and then some other symptoms develop and the symptoms keep changing. So these kind of things that keep happening, and we call it the revolving door of disease, right? So you do get better because you're doing some of the things, but because you are have not really understood the importance of making your body feel safe, your immune system feel safe, and actually prioritize healing, you get stuck in a revolving door of disease where you get better and then again you sort of come back a few steps and you again get better. So that's where you are. So in my program, I am Healing from Within. It's a 6-month program for women with autoimmune conditions. I teach women, right at the very beginning, how to address this at a grassroots level using the powerful body-wise healing framework. And today what I'm going to share with you is from the RECONNECT pillar. So to help you understand why feeling safe in your body is so powerful and necessary, right? So to take the case of my client, she had done all the work. She was already on a gluten-free diet. She had made several dietary changes and it had helped her, right? It's important. She was getting adequate rest. She had reduced her toxin exposure and she was definitely feeling better, but she was still struggling to sustain improvements, right? So she was, what I was telling you is called stuck in a revolving door of disease. So she was feeling better for a few days and then again, some other symptoms would crop up. But it was only when she started to understand, she understood the importance of reconnecting with her own body, of actually taking steps every single day to send a message to her immune system and to her body that the world is a safe place, that it can actually prioritize healing and repair, that things started to shift. Right? Till then, when she was living in a chronic survival mode, of course, things do change if you take some supplements and you make some dietary changes, etc. But your body is not still prioritize healing, right? So your immune system is still dysregulated. It's still not able to manage the hormones well. Hormones are not in balance, more importantly. So all these things do not really happen in a sympathetic mode, which is a fight or flight mode, which is our survival mode, right? So because in survival mode, our body will of course prioritize survival over everything else. And in survival mode, it is not necessary to reproduce. It is not necessary to digest our food. It is not necessary to have adequate, and good quality sleep. It is only focused on survival, and it's your body's way of protecting you, right? But it doesn't really help you to thrive, and you cannot be in both modes at the same time. So if you're joining me now, my name is Anindita and I'm a functional medicine certified health coach. And today I'm talking about why feeling safe in your body is so important when you are dealing with an autoimmune condition and you're looking for recovering from autoimmune conditions. But you can actually pretty much apply to any chronic illness. And I am going to get started with what are these nervous system modes that I was talking about, right? So we have two nervous system modes. One is the sympathetic mode and the second is the parasympathetic mode. And this, as I mentioned, that the sympathetic mode, it promotes survival. So that means that there is fight, flight or freeze. These are the three responses. And this is not something that we can control, right? It happens automatically. It is hardwired in our system, and it has what has kept our species alive over millions of years of evolution. So this is not something that happens automatically, right? So that's what keeps you safe. But this is not where this state helps us stay motivated, it helps us stay activated, it helps us to deal with any crisis that comes along, it helps us feel stimulated. It's the one that where we feel energy to get up out of bed in the morning, have a sense of purpose, right? Feel excited. So it's a necessary part of, as you can make out, of living, day-to-day living. But the problem is that our bodies were not designed to be in this state all the time. Our bodies were designed to be in the parasympathetic nervous system mode, right, primarily, and only switch to this mode as and when necessary. Because this is not where healing happens. This is not where deep restorative healing happens. This is not where your digestion happens properly. This is not where fertility is prioritized, right? So if you are stuck in this particular mode on as most of the time, then it's a problem. And that's where most of us are stuck, in a chronic survival mode. Stress mode. So this is designed because this chronic stress mode was designed as a short-term exception for survival. So the parasympathetic mode, which is a rest and digest mode, or the relaxation mode as it's called, promotes thriving, promotes fertility, promotes all the other things, promotes rest, good quality sleep, relaxation. And this is the primary state that we were designed to live in. So no matter what story we tell ourselves, and I find this again to be very common. Give me a thumbs up if you agree. I find that a lot of times we tell ourselves these stories, right? Because I've asked this many times that, do you feel that you're living with a lot of stress, etc. And of course, many people are able to say that and are aware of it, but there are quite a few who are not, and they sort of can say that I am not actually so stressed. But these are the stories that we are telling ourselves, right? So, but if we are actually feeling stressed, angry, resentful, tensed up, our body and our brain are reacting to it. No matter what story we are telling ourselves, it doesn't really matter, right? If your body and your brain and of course your immune system is getting the message that the world is a scary place, the world is not safe, it will switch on the sympathetic mode, right? No matter what we are telling ourselves. And this is something which I find is very common. And the reason probably is because we are not connected to our bodies. We are not connected to our emotions, right? So, but that's a topic for another day. So this is what my client had to learn to actually deal with. This is what I had to teach my client before she started seeing results. As I said, she was already doing many of the things you may be doing. So she had already made dietary changes. She had already, she was taking certain supplements. She was focusing on her sleep. She was focusing on, toxins, and she had removed. So she had done quite a bit of the work, but the reason, and she'd worked with a functional medicine practitioner, but the reason that she was not seeing the results that she wanted, and even if she was seeing results, she was not able to sustain them, is because her body and of course her immune system was not getting a message that the world was a safe place, right? That it could prioritize the healing, it could prioritize sleep, it could prioritize digestion. And unless we prioritize all of this, our body cannot thrive, right? So now that you have an idea about why it is important to create an environment where your body can, of course, thrive, where your body can actually, move from a sympathetic to a parasympathetic mode, let's dive a bit deeper into how you can do that. And if you are joining me now, if you're watching this on replay, my name is Anindita and I'm a functional medicine certified health coach, and I'm talking about the two nervous system modes, what they are, and why feeling safe in our bodies is so important for healing from autoimmune conditions and even from other chronic health issues. And this is often missing in many in many people's healing regimens, right? Because here's what most people do. They focus a lot on the diet, they focus on the supplements, they focus on getting tests done, test after test done probably. They are doing many of these things, but they are not taking action that is in alignment so that their body and their brain and the immune system gets a message that all is fine with the world, right? All is safe with the world, and they can activate, actually the parasympathetic mode can be activated, which means that you might be taking immunosuppressive or other medications for more than 2 years, and you found some relief, and you maybe have been on a diet and you've again seen some improvement. But if you ignore this part, if you ignore the role that stress has to play, if you ignore the part that feeling safe in your own body is so critical to healing and recovery, then you feel better for a few days, you find some improvements, but then you are simply stuck in a revolving door of disease, right? You have some symptoms that which keep on changing, circulating. You feel exhausted one day, next day you're feeling slightly better, and you don't know what's going on, right? So this is what I teach my clients to deal with, and this is especially important in the case of autoimmune conditions where the unpredictability of symptoms is very high. And this powerful framework, the body-wise healing framework that I use in my program, is what helps them to deal with it. And I am talking about the RECONNECT pillar, right, to help you understand how to do that. So how do you create that environment? How do you make your immune system believe that it's all safe? Before I even get into that, I want to share with you that it's not that all stress is bad. We need a little bit of stress in our bodies to keep our immune system primed for response when there is actually a threat. A little stress is good, right? It keeps us on our toes. It helps us to build resiliency, long-term resilience. It promotes vitality. So we need a little bit of stress. But too much of stress, and especially chronic stress, is the problem. And cortisol is a major stress hormone, and excessive and chronic levels of cortisol raises our blood sugar, creates oxidative stress, a lot of inflammation, impairs digestion, so all these kind of issues which have a sort of downstream effect on our body and can lead to further issues down the line. That's what we want to avoid, right? So both and it's important for you to understand that both high and low levels of cortisol actually impact the immune system, and as a result autoimmunity. So we don't want either. We want to be in balance, and it's about how you can bring your immune system and body back into balance by focusing on creating a healing environment. Because when you do that, that's when you can actually switch on the parasympathetic response that I was talking about. Because you cannot be both in this nervous system modes. You cannot be in the sympathetic mode and the parasympathetic nervous system mode at the same time, right? You either are in the fight or flight and freeze response, or you're triggering the rest and digest response. This is very important for you to understand. And as I mentioned in the RECONNECT pillar in this program, I teach my clients to work with their bodies as their guide, right? To reconnect with their bodies as their friend. And self-care is a big part of that process. And I'm going to share with you a few ways that you can get started today, right now, just after, if you're watching this on replay, if you have any questions, drop in the comments below. But you can get started today. You don't have to wait for anything or anyone. Because when you value your body and actually honor it by listening to your body, you live a life that is fulfilling. And actually your body can say, these messages can save your life in some ways, right? So let's focus on a few ways, specifically 3 ways that you can start today. Number 1 is self-compassion. A little self-compassion goes a long way. It is a powerful antidote to body dissatisfaction. And body dissatisfaction is something that often comes along when we are dealing with a chronic illness, right? Because we often end up blaming our bodies for what we are going through, for the pain, for the exhaustion, like for all the hundreds of symptoms that we are facing, because we haven't really understood what's really going on, and we end up blaming our bodies for it. We end up becoming disconnected from our bodies, which is why the problem becomes worse and worse. So but with self-compassion, you are able to appreciate what your body is trying to do and why. Right? Why is it behaving in this manner? Why are these symptoms getting created? And you would have understood a bit of this today as I explained to you the difference between the two nervous system modes, and why you're in one particular mode and not the other, which probably would be the sympathetic mode, right? So with self-compassion, you can embrace your body for what it is, an amazing, piece of machine, if you can call it, or something that, what it does for you, rather than just how it looks, or what are the symptoms and what's going, what it is going through. So start with embracing your body with self-compassion. I think if you have only one key thing that you can do from this session, this would be it. The second thing that you can do is practice intuitive self-care. Trusting in your intuition is, giving your body in some, what it needs is extremely important. It's not about a massage. It's not about lighting a candle. Self-care is not about that. Self-care is actually about understanding what your body needs from you at this moment, and then giving it what it needs, right? So rather than only focusing on an expert to tell you what to do and how to take care of your body, you are actually listening to the body itself, right? You're willing to trust your ability to know what's good for you, what's good for your body right now, and what it needs from you at this moment, because it changes, right? So that means that you have to actually take responsibility for figuring out what your unique body needs. So this is the second part. And the third one, so the first one is embracing your body with self-compassion. The second is practicing intuitive self-care. And the last one is letting go or practicing, today's body, right? So it's actually also starts with letting go of the inner critic, but I think the more important point is practicing taking care of today's body. What do I mean by that, right? So sometimes when we are going through a lot of health issues, we start associating our body with all these problems, as I said, as we start blaming it, and it's hard to see beyond that. So what can help is to stop identifying with the body as I, me, or mine, and just focus on today's body, right? So not making your body your fault or anybody's fault for that matter, you can stop fixing it for a while. So then the tendency to fix it because it's broken, you can break that cycle, right? You can just stop doing that, because that's not really helping. So you can make it a bit more impersonal and think of it in terms of today's body. So today's body can be taken care of with more tenderness and more forgiveness, and you can tune into what your body needs today, not what it will need tomorrow, day after, not what it needed yesterday, just for today, right? So just focusing on today's body, and start to practice taking care of today's body just the way it is right now. This is a really, really powerful exercise, and tomorrow you may feel differently, but that's okay. Just start with taking care of your body today, like today's body. So I mentioned that, these are the three things that you can start from today. Practice self-compassion where your body is concerned, practice intuitive self-care, and practice today's body. So if the problem is that this is just one part of the 3-pillar framework, and this is the reconnect part of it, but you start reconnecting with your body so that your body and of course your immune system feels safe enough to start the repair, the deep restorative repair and healing work that your body really needs. But there are 2 other pillars, which is the sustain and simplify, which also helps you understand what you need to prioritize and what are exactly the activities and emotional regulation, your mindset, all of that which needs to be taken into account. What exactly are the diet that you need to focus on. So the simplify and the sustain pillars are equally important. So if you're not actually doing that, you may see partial results. So that is also important. But in any case, to help you get started, to help you with all of this, I have created a free ebook. It's a beautiful ebook called Autoimmune Healing Toolkit for Women. It is again based on this reconnect pillar, so it will help you to actually practice and put into place and implement some of what I shared today. in your daily life. It has guided meditations, it has journaling, and some things to think about, reflections. So resources. So I recommend that you head to the link in bio and receive your free ebook, Autoimmune Healing Toolkit for Women, so that you can get started with creating the healing environment that your body desperately needs. If you have any questions, do drop it in the comments below.